You don't need an animus to see this place. Ciao a tutti e benvenuti a Venezia. It took me almost 15 years to get to this place. This was the second foreign city I ever visited. I attempted to come here about 3 years ago. A pandemic started. That was fun finding out you're in the middle of it. And as I was running away from the area to avoid a nasty fate, back in the old days, a similar kind of running was happening, but towards Venice. The Roman Empire was close to its fall, and it was getting invaded by all kinds of Germanic and Hun tribes. So they fled to this lagoon full of fishermen, which had quite a lot of low-lying islands and made for quite an effective defensive ring, as you did need boats to get to it. The traditional founding of Venice is closely related to the founding of the San Giacomo Church on the islet of Rialto, which, in a very worrying trend on this channel, I also forgot to film. Something about next time. The year the church was dedicated was 421, on the 25th of March. A few more barbarian invasions later, political authority was shifted to one of the islands on the Venetian lagoon in 641, after Oderzo fell to the Lombards. By that time, the Roman Byzantine territory was organized as the Exarchate of Ravenna. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Since Venice was now a collection of islands in the middle of the Venetian lagoon, and the only link to Ravenna was via sea routes, they became increasingly autonomous. This had the side effect of them choosing their own regional leaders, with Paolo Lucio Anafesto and Marcello Tegagliano seen as the first two doges of Venice. Traditionally. Conflicting accounts and the lack of historical documents due to, well, being the Dark Ages, casts a bit of doubt of them actually being the two Doges of Venice. Therefore, it is safe to claim that Orso Ipato, the third traditional Doge of Venice, is actually the first one historically known. Make sense? No? Good. To further complicate matters, even though it was technically a republic, it was still under considerable influence from the Byzantine Empire. That didn't sit too well with the neighboring Lombards. Pepin of Italy, king of the Lombards, son of Charlemagne himself, tried to siege Venice in 810, a failed attempt which would cost him his life. This had two side effects. First would be the seat of government moving on the Rialto island itself. Second, a Franco-Byzantine treaty of 814 guaranteed to Venice political and juridical independence from the rule of the Western Empire. Even though this part is subject to scrutiny, it also didn't confirm any effective dependence on the Byzantine Empire. By 841, the Doge of Venice was negotiating international agreements in his own name, effectively making the Republic of Venice independent. From 9th to 12th centuries, Venice developed into a powerful maritime empire, helped by being located at the top of the Adriatic. During that time period, they also seized the Dalmatian coast to prevent pirate activities in the area. The city became a flourishing trade center between Western Europe and the rest of the world, especially the Byzantine Empire and Asia, as goods were obviously much more easy to transport on sea. And you can see how rich the city is in the architecture it developed over the years. I am also bookmarking the chapter of Venetian history, as I've realized that there is way more to talk about than I can fit in a single video, and I am planning to return to this city as I did miss quite a few things filming. That part of history covers the Crusades, the golden years of the Renaissance, and its ultimate downfall. So what about the city itself? The aspect of the buildings dilapidated, sort of not that well maintained, just adds to the charm of this city. It makes you feel like you're traveling back in time. As long as you ignore the 21st century ground floor, you can imagine you are in the 16th, 17th century. It was a Sunday during the Carnevale when I filmed this, and the streets were full. And I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody in the 18th century thought that there's going to be that many people on the roads full. But go a few streets from the main tourist road and you end up in the Jewish ghetto. No, that's how this place actually is called, the Jewish ghetto. It does look the part as a ghetto. The whole architecture of the buildings is completely different, completely, how should I say this, done on the cheap and without style. These northern parts of Venice make for a very tourist-free place to explore. Here I also stumbled upon Chiesa della Madonna dell'Orto, a fantastic early 1400s brick church built in the Gothic style. Gothic and bricks, I did not expect that combination. In fact, most of Venice's architecture is centered around brick building, though the more elegant buildings usually have a marble facade to cover it. Thankfully, they decided not to cover that when we go to see Santa Maria Gloriosa dei Frari. This is not a chiesa, it's a basilica. And my god, is it massive. This Gothic behemoth took almost a century to build. Before that, there was a small church. Well, when I say small, 40 meters in length is by no means small. But it wasn't big enough, while the church itself was consecrated on 27th of May, 1492. The bell tower, or campanile, was completed in 1396, and it is the second tallest in Venice after San Marco. Yes, that's the one. Unfortunately, what you see here is a reconstruction. The original San Marco campanile collapsed in 1902 due to the poor state of the structure. There was one casualty of the collapse, namely the custodian's cat. And now you are all sad. The original construction started in the early 10th century and was only completed in 1514 at a grand total height of 98.6 meters, making it truly one of the earliest skyscrapers. You could also visit the top of it, but sadly there was a giant cube formed outside and the Brotherhood was nowhere to be seen. The campanile gets its name from Basilica di San Marco, a staple of any Venetian postcard you can imagine, and one of the oldest churches I had the pleasure of laying my eyes upon. It was originally built in 836, but it suffered a major reconstruction effort lasting up until 1094. The style of it being quite a unique combination of Gothic, Romanesque, and Byzantine styles, reflecting its close ties it had with the Byzantine Empire. It's notable for housing the relics of Mark the Evangelist, obtained by Venice in 827. It also served as the Ducal Chapel up until 1797, being under the jurisdiction of the Doge of Venice, which makes sense, as attached to it it's the Palazzo Ducale. The one we see today was completed around 1340 in the what is now known today as Venetian Gothic style. Several reconstruction efforts were taken for this palace as it had a tendency to catch fire. There was one in 1483, and another in 1547, and another in 1577. Still, it served as the heart of Venetian government, even after the Republic of Venice fell. Today it is part of the Venetian Museums network, housing various exhibits related to the Doge of Venice, though I do not recall the scaffolding there since I was last time. Directly opposite of the Doge's palace, we have the Biblioteca Nazionale Marciana. The library itself was established in 1468 after Cardinal Bessarion donated his entire collection of Greek and Latin manuscripts to the Republic of Venice. The building we see today was completed in 1588 by architect Jacopo Sansovino. Most of it would describe it as a key work in Venetian Renaissance architecture, and it is indeed beautiful. By now I hope you realize that we are in Piazzetta San Marco, and another interesting feature of this place is the Torre del Orologio. It was completed in 1499, tracking time by 24 hours and actually showing the zodiac signs as well. That's an interesting feature of it. There are plenty of ways of reaching Piazzetta San Marco, but if you do feel adventurous, I suggest you follow the Gran Canale, basically Venice's main road. From the train station you arrive at Santa Lucia. The original one was completed in the 1860s. Keep that in mind, Venice had a rail connection since the 1860s. I hope you enjoyed this brief tour of Venice. There's so much stuff to film here, I could probably make a whole TV show episode out of it. Maybe somebody from Discovery will see this and decide, yeah, let's sponsor this guy to do a trip in Venice. Never say never. Leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed it, or a dislike if you thought the Assassin's Creed 2 references were too on the nose. I do love that game. As always, I'll leave a few more clips of footage that didn't make the cut, and I sincerely thank you for watching. Until next time.
Aber schauen wir.